Good morning. I'm truly honored to be asked to speak today honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His work and message of nonviolence, unity, and love has deeply impacted many lives across the world. He worked to dismantle the systems of inequality that created conditions of poverty for so many communities worldwide. He believed that hunger and poverty were not individual experiences. Rather, they are community-wide symptoms of institutional barriers to employment, education, housing, and healthcare. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has always been a huge inspiration in my life. I have so many fond memories of listening to his records in my friend Angie's basement as a young woman in a small southern town in Virginia. I've known Angie since I was 3 years old. We grew up on the same street 5 houses away. She has always been an incredibly intelligent woman and is still my best friend, even though we now live on opposite coasts. She was the one who first introduced me to his records. His gift as a talented orator, effortlessly weaving poetry and philosophy into his preaching, and his powerful, inspirational message of nonviolence, unity, community, and love was captivating. Our favorite was his mountaintop speech. Angie and I would dream up all the ways we wanted to change the world too. I never dreamed that I would be homeless. Some think addiction is a choice. Some think addiction is a disease. Either way, it destroyed my life, consuming my dreams, goals, hopes, aspirations, family, friends, sense of self, and connection to my higher power. It took me to dark and dangerous places, abusive relationships, and my will to live. Trauma from domestic violence and my addiction led to a decade of chronic homelessness. I was constantly suicidal and frequently hospitalized in Garden Pavilion, the lockdown mental unit at the local hospital. I was so lost, so broken. I didn't know how to be a human, I often said. I'd known long years of hurt and neglect. I'd come to feel that life was like a long and desolate corridor with no exit signs. I was introduced to the Homeless Garden Project by alumni. 3 friends I had been homeless with, one by one, went through the project and started radically changing their lives. They told me stories of bountiful harvests and mischievous gophers, planting dahlia tubers in the rain, building beds while building dreams, hard work and patience, camaraderie and love. Walking around town, they would identify plants and explain their uses. Stopping by the store, they would point out the wreaths they made with the flowers they grew. Sometimes I would stop by for lunch and come volunteer in the afternoons. I got a small peek into the magic that happens here. I knew that there was something magical, transformative that happened in this program that supported my friends' drastic and radical positive transformation from the life we shared on the streets. And I knew when I was ready to change my life, it would be there to help me do the same. Even then, I had no idea exactly how much I would grow and blossom with the project. A little under a year and a half ago, my partner and I decided to get sober. We lived in my car, the only relic I was barely able to hang on from my last stint of sobriety, with our cat, Rumi. Somewhere along the way, I must have learned that community was the key to building a life worth living sober. I started to look for community in my life. I also needed some structure without being overwhelmed. I wanted to start contributing to my community. I started volunteering at a program that helped me do my laundry, but that was only 1 day a week. I needed something more. My friend Victoria told me that the Homeless Garden Project was doing a trial hire and there were 2 more spots available and orientation was at 2 p.m. that afternoon. I didn't even know if I was capable of working. For years, I had various caseworkers telling me my best option was to apply for disability through Social Security. But I figured I could try. I had witnessed firsthand how it took my friends from the sidewalks to contributing members of society, and I was ready to try to do the same. I was barely 60 days sober my first day at HGP. I was so nervous and anxious. I hadn't worked a real job in years. And here the project was, giving me a chance practically sight unseen. I hadn't interacted with people in normal social situations in so long. I felt so incredibly awkward. I'd let my addiction degrade me to feeling inhuman. I felt so far away from, so disassociated and disconnected. But the smiling faces of my fellow trainees, along with the cozy cottage vibes of the workshop, the smell of beeswax, dried flowers and essential oils, and a warm cup of homemade chai Lynn would bring from India Joe's helped put me at ease. Every morning, we'd start the day with a 3-minute meditation, followed by circle, a place, a space for me and my fellow trainees to check in and share our feelings, our struggles, our goals, and our successes. Then we would stretch and start the task for the day, processing herbs, creating wreaths, and producing holiday gifts, until lunch, when cheerful volunteers would bring bountiful bowls of warm, delicious organic food featuring veggies and greens grown on the farm. It seemed like a dream. I'd often save leftovers to eat for dinner that night. In the afternoon, we'd circle up again, talking about the tasks that day and how they were going, seeing if anyone needed support or another task before finishing the day's work. I was so completely overwhelmed with love and support. I had a safe space to grow and share, and slowly I began to do just that. The love and support of my fellow trainees and staff helped reawaken my forgotten passion for crafting and gave me an outlet for my creativity. For the first time in a long time, I felt useful. I felt part of. I found a community that was a farm family that believed in me and taught me to believe in myself. I fell in love with the project. I felt fulfilled in ways I'd never experienced before. I didn't feel like a cog in the corporate machine. I didn't feel like a weed, no longer struggling to grow in gutters or city sidewalks, being stomped and crushed daily. I'd been transplanted into the safety of the garden, and there I began to grow. Within a month, I found a place to live and was able to move out of my car into a room on the west side with a big empty backyard for my cat to play in and explore. I started to learn so many new skills. At the farm, I discovered a passion for gardening and started turning my empty backyard into a beautiful garden. There's something so beautiful and healing about working in the soil. Every day, I was so incredibly amazed by the plants and their ability to grow. While transplanting, I told every single plant, I love you, welcome to your forever home. You're going to grow and thrive here on this beautiful organic farm and be the best plant you can be. At the workshop, I learned how to write cover letters and tailored working resumes. I got to practice interview skills. I discovered a talent for teaching and natural leadership. Lindsay noticed and told me that a crew lead position was opening and urged me to apply. I worked hard to earn the position and was eventually promoted to value-added crew lead. Crew lead is a year-long program for trainees. There are additional responsibilities, longer hours, higher expectations to be a good example for trainees, and an added commitment to the program. I eagerly stepped up to the challenge. I get to practice the skills learned from my time as a trainee and to learn new skills in leadership and conflict resolution. I get to teach others what I learned. I get to share the magic of the program and help people find hidden talents. I'm able to save space and give the support I was given. I get to be a light, a raft, an outstretched hand. During my time as a crew lead, I started a 12-step meeting for trainees who also need support in their recovery. I celebrated a year sober. 2 months ago, I was able to purchase a new car. I can't imagine what my life would be like without the Homeless Garden Project. I certainly wouldn't have been able to completely transform my life without the project's love and support. In closing, I'd like to return to Dr. King. In Dr. King's last Sunday sermon, he spoke about his Poor People's Campaign. King looked across America and saw people and families of all races, cultures, and communities who were hungry, homeless, unemployed, and underpaid, and began to organize a movement of people to dismantle systems of inequality that created conditions of poverty for so many communities. In this sermon, he said, "And maybe we spend far too much of our national budget establishing military bases around the world, rather than bases of genuine concern and understanding." I think Dr. King would consider the Homeless Garden Project to be one of these spaces of genuine concern and understanding. And I think that he would consider the Homeless Garden Project a great success and a great stride forward in his fight against inequality and hunger. Thank you.